gave us the opportunity to talk here today. We thought, great, we'll talk about this new startup that we're about to do. And that'd be an opportunity to really big up that profile. But then he said, actually, that's all good. But the interesting thing that I think everybody would like to hear about is the bit before that, the journey to that, and why you've decided to do what we've decided to do with Tell, our new venture. So what he was referring to was the last 3 to 4 years we've been trying to get away various digital entertainment projects to varying degrees of success. So it's going to be a talk of 2 halves. The first half, we're going to give you a bit of a warts and all of our walkthrough of our trials and tribulations on that journey, and then the second half to talk about Tell, and hopefully you'll see why we got to Tell as we talk you through it. So about 3 to 4 years ago, we started this cross-platform IP digital entertainment company. The whole idea was to exploit entertainment IP across channels. We thought the time was right for this, that digital had finally got parity with TV. People were walking around with these smartphones. These people are potential audience who would obviously want to watch, experience, engage with all these amazing stories we're going to tell them. So with great vigour and verve, Kev and I skipped off to this new adventure and away we went.
Into the woods we went. So I think we really expected that opportunity to run towards TV and they would embrace us with arms wide open. And to some degree, we did. We had quite some success. So we really wanted to put digital in the heart of a project, and we saw an opportunity to build digital projects that were surrounded by entertainment and just see them as a whole. So very quickly, one of our first projects was a project called Droid. It was an entertainment project where the conceit was very simple. We wanted to, the story was that we crowdsourced a set of droids. The Earth was being attacked by aliens, obviously. We would crowdsource drones and droids in space that would save us all. And if you had a mobile phone and played the game, you could save the world. That was the idea. And then beside it, there would be a TV show that kind of allowed the commanders to give you instructions. As big Hollywood kind of idea. We won a couple of things. We went down to MIP and there was a lot of excitement around the project. Basically, we wanted to produce something where geeks save the world.
So, like Kev mentioned, quite early on it got the attention of a couple of key players that really kind of gave it a boost. And one of those was Tim Kring, who, I don't know if any of you are Heroes fans. He's a big LA showrunner, and it was just amazing to have him on board. So instead of cheerleaders saving the world, we were going to do droids save the world. And that was a great boost, and he really embraced the whole digital heart of the project. So we thought, great, this is it, this is how it works. We had to change the name. Apparently some guy called Lucas had a problem with the droids angle.
Damn it.
And does anybody know what the Drake equation is? To a couple of you. That's good. So it was a good name. And so that was great, and it was all ploughing forward. We managed to get a great distributor on board. It was about to go to international markets. And we were pitching it to some US broadcasters, cable networks, etc. But it was about this time that we started noticing the pitch was shifting. So instead of being this digital story that was going to be playing out across all of these channels with this great TV show alongside, it all became about the TV show with this interesting digital component. And then a few meetings on, it became about this TV show with a bit of digital marketing. And then a bit later on, it was about this amazing TV show, and we had to fight to get our voice in for the last bit of the meeting to say, and it's got digital.
Yeah.
So that was the story with that one. And it became very apparent that where we thought there was this kind of digital parity with TV, actually there was so much vested interest politically, economically, and the infrastructure that props up this TV universe, TV and film universe, that we weren't just going to get away that easily.
So back at home, we we saw an opportunity. We produced a game, several probably when we first met her, a word game, apps. We saw this opportunity to create a show called Strung Out. It had an app in the middle. It was a word game, and we saw that as being a big opportunity. We worked with a TV company, and they changed the name to Vocabularious, which is even hard to say, not alone actually kind of right. It then got changed to Back to Front. You can see there was a lot of work went into just naming the thing, not alone doing anything else. And we were very lucky. We managed to get Sue Perkins to host the show. We managed to get it a pilot away. We moved from extremely dodgy drawings in PowerPoint of how it could look to a 30-minute show with Sue Perkins hosting it, and the complete show. But again, there was this sudden weird moment where it started off as an app with a TV show that was surrounded it, where everyone was talking about this amazing TV show that, we'll get back to the app and we'll talk about the digital piece and the thing that went beside it later. And we seem to lose the heart of the piece that we were talking about. We're quite used to working quite quickly and fast prototyping. This took extremely amount of time and a lot of money to produce the show. And we came up with a line as we came to be commissioned, which was, just doesn't feel very today. And that was the end of the project after kind of a year and a half of working on something. Where we know from looking at the stats that word game apps are quite the opposite, and we're kind of strange. What I now know is we should have done it just before lunchtime, and we would have been fine. Only I'd known that. So with that fast prototyping in our mind, and we really felt that if we'd actually made the app, if we'd even just done a prototype of the app, we could have actually really sold it, and that would have helped us. So we had a very simple idea of how fast is Usain Bolt really, and being digital people, we should be able to benchmark that kind of piece. So we created and we built this within about a week, an idea of like getting somebody to run against a sportsman, and then kind of you could see how fast you were against a famous. We did it with a relatively well-known footballer. We then did really well. We managed to get it as part of the Olympics, and you could run against Dan Norton, where we learned Dan Norton is very fast and the rest of the world is very slow. And we really, we were capturing imagination. It was all tied to social, so you could share it on YouTube and you could share your clips. We're then lucky, and Lego saw it and kind of took it, and we realised that kids just love to run against Lego figures. Again, these videos did really well. It was a really sweet idea, but it really felt like a community that kind of people could really, and they're not my kids, but they're still cute kids. I think that counts. So we really saw that it was an idea that seemed to kind of capture people. I'm gonna let that just run. Don't talk over a kid running. Seems silly. So. Yeah, it sort of captured everyone's imagination. We were in this TV kind of world at the time, and there was an idea that we should turn it into a TV show. That seemed to make sense. We wanted to keep the heart. It felt like a community idea, an idea that we could kind of create. And we created Shadowrunner. It's a shame it's got really good music, but I'm talking over it for speed. And it kind of worked. It was an all right TV show. It was a 30-minute pilot that we got, somebody paid us to make. But somehow in it, us included, we turned it into a TV show rather than keeping this digital piece. And it became a shiny floor kind of piece. And ultimately, sort of worked all right as a TV show. It didn't really get picked up. All of these things are still out there and kind of bubbling in some sense. So there we're kind of left with the frustration of this world that didn't seem to be meeting our expectations.
So that's when we hit our wall, and that was the turning point for us really. We got ahead through sheer frustration and bitterness. We said, right, sod that, Hollywood. We're going to do our own stuff. And we just felt that parity with digital just wasn't there. The expense and the time it takes to get these projects away was just vast. And also the routes to market for digital storytellers or producers is so restricted, and the people that actually sanction these and approve them is so small that it's a real restricted range of stories that we all get exposed to and voices that we get to hear. And that just didn't feel right to us, so we just went, right, okay, we're going to make our own thing, and we're going to prove a few points here that we did believe in, and really use digital to the, the affordance that it can give us, and all the benefits. So we wanted to prove that we could sell direct to consumer, that we could create our own route to market. We wanted to prove that people would go and pay for a digital storytelling experience. And we also wanted to try and test whether people would turn up at a specific time, which is kind of anti this on-demand kind of culture for digital, and take part in a scheduled kind of connected event where they could enjoy that digital story together. So we created Night Vision, hacked together across Twitter, brought in some YouTube videos. Let's go around that. And then you could explore this timeline as these characters were messaging each other. A girl's friends have gone missing. They've just got night vision cameras to see in these underground tunnels. Proper B-movie horror. Crowdfunded it, got a great cast and crew together, and we shot it and ran the event. Lots of dodgy jump moments, and everybody's been basically finished off in the tunnels. But what Night Vision did prove to us that was, yes, they turned up to Eventbrite, they bought tickets, they turned up at a specific time, 9 o'clock, in front of their computers, and had this experience alongside other people. And every experience was unique, and we got some great feedback from it.
And I think we felt like we did it right. We got people in a room, we watched them actually play the experience, and we learned from that what they were doing. We adapted the story quite quickly so we could change it. We could see how it changed. There was one bit where we actually had we ended and took all the footage down, which people hated, and so we quickly put it back up. We could change, and we kind of felt like we were doing the way we wanted to play it. Around the same time, we had a great phone call from the Agatha Christie estate, who said that they'd seen Night Vision, and we had a great moment of saying, would you like to read lots of Agatha Christie and see if you could find a story to adapt? This was about 18 months ago, something. So we started that journey running aside, feeling like we were doing stuff that was our own. We found a story called Mr. Quinn, which is a fascinating book. Agatha Christie, it's a set of 10 short stories. Agatha Christie always says that it was her favourite character. And we adapted it. In the books, he's a 60-year-old kind of socialite who goes to parties. Our conceit is we've made him contemporary. It's set in modern day. He is now a vlogger who goes to parties and kind of sends messages out to us, and we voyeuristically look into these parties. Unsurprisingly, being an Agatha Christie, he uncovers a murder mystery or some kind of mystery along the way, and that's how we tell the story. We hit a fork in the road about this time, where before we were cutting and pasting into kind of Tweetbot and stuff and kind of just holding it together. At this point, we'd made a CMS so we could start running the system. We realised we had something that we were really interested in. We really wanted to tell stories in this way. And we'd made what we call our story CMS. And at that point, we kind of went, okay, we could carry on making stories like this. We could carry on doing that. But actually, there must be people who had had the same experiences that we've just spoke about. And wouldn't it be much better if we open up that system and ask them to build stories on top of our system? And isn't that a really exciting moment? So it changed us from suddenly being producers to making a system that others can kind of use. So running in tandem with creating Mr. Quinn, we've been making sure that the system is allowed. So we're just about to open that up to beta, and that's our startup. Is as we begin, that's what we're going to start doing.
So this is kind of driven out of that kind of frustration and the walls that we hit and the wrong U-turns that we made, knowing that it wasn't just us that was having that experience. So we want to be all about championing digital producers and makers and creating this marketplace, an open marketplace that they can come and create their own tells and share them, and grow and create their own direct routes to market, create their own audiences and nurture and grow those. So we've got a whole slate of development features that will empower them to do that. And accessibility, there are CMSs out there, there are kind of platforms, but this is so easy to make and produce. And what we're most excited about is that ability now to have a diversity of voices and stories out there for people to experience and share.
So we don't want to make this into a what are we doing, but some context makes kind of some sense. So we kind of, it's a real old-fashioned word, but we want to create multimedia stories. So we call each part of the story a story brick. That can be a piece of text, an image, video, audio, a link to a website. But we want to create entertainment streams. We want to kind of create a kind of a mobile-first experience which I guess matches the way we're consuming social media elsewhere, and turn those into stories and kind of experiences. Our system allows us to publish to iOS and HTML5, and we have two ways of people interacting with that, either going through our system and publishing for free of charge onto the platform, or as we're doing relatively with Mr. Quinn, is a kind of a white labeled service. We have the ability so people can kind of do live shows, as we did with Night Vision. So you turn up a specific time and the story revolves around you, or you can create what we kind of call an on-demand service. You can sit down and kind of read the experience out of step. Obviously, the thing we kind of try to bake in social where we can. So each brick is kind of something that you can share. So each brick, so instead of the story being shared, if you're clever, hopefully people can write little parts into their story and share them. Each brick can be commented upon, so threads can evolve around the story. And we've really noticed that there's an interest. We've been beta testing quite a few different stories, and we've got people involved in making things already, and it's a real lean-in experience. And we hope, touching piece of wood, that we've created something quite special. We launch Mr. Quinn on the 12th, so next week, and we're embargoed, so we weren't allowed to show very much, but everyone's agreed that we can show a very short little trailer, and it is the first early kind of trailer. It is very short. Shareable and short. It's great to have Gethin kind of involved. So here we go, back into the woods, and full circle, and delving back into startup life, a whole new thing to kind of learn. So hopefully you can get involved. We're on Tell Players, sign up and talk to us when you can. Thank you.
So just a quick question is, I guess what's great about the story is obviously that you've been able to involve the Agatha Christie folks, if you will, and what has made them so willing? You would think to some extent maybe it's a false impression to have that they would be perhaps fairly conservative, and they obviously have these. They have this all of her works, if you will, and they've obviously done very well just as they are as regular books. So what drove them being so quickly, especially also frankly working with a company that's a startup? It's not an established big company that they would normally say work with. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's one of the reasons is they are bold. They want to change their brand. They want to do new things. They really liked Night Vision, okay. And I think they really liked our approach. And I think the way we speak about the project and the way we prototyped, they could see all the way along the way we were thinking about things, that gave them the safety in the way we were talking about it. Felt like that we were doing the things that they would. And Matthew, who's a great grandson, we spoke to him quite a lot, and he felt that we understood the essence of Agatha Christie, okay, and what she would do. And she was an amazing person. I mean, her story is incredible, and it kind of feels like she would be doing these kind of things. If she wrote for theatre, she did everything, and I think they really felt that this is a place that they could move. And I think there's a Sherlock moment of there is a reinventing a brand and kind of rethinking, and they have other projects that are coming on in the with feature films with Ridley Scott that are coming out that match a different pace for how people are looking at the stories. Okay. So it felt like a little perfect moment where we crossed paths.
So it goes live next week.
It does.
Yeah. Is it all done? And
yes, done.
in Canada?
App
Okay.
Store signed off, thank God, and so we just have to press the button on the 12th. So please buy it.
So how do people actually get it? Is there an app to download? Or
Yeah, it's App Store. Type in Mr. Quinn and download it. It's going to be $1.99, and the first 5. So that gives you the online show, and then you get 5. We're giving away 5 free live shows across the first 2 weeks. So if you buy the app, that also gives you the ability to play a live show and play along. They're limited VIP tickets, which you can kind of join in for the first two weeks free of charge. So it should be fun.
Thank you so much for taking the
you
time,
for
and of course, the best of luck. We look forward to hearing more.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.